Hey guys, what's up? Me, your dude, the boy, Jacob Davidson. Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Jacob Davidson. I am a legal layman in North Texas, show where I try to learn the law and educate while I learn. And I am significant fun because I wish I had a very interesting and very reasonable backstory as to why I was late today, but simply put, I was watching another streamer and I was being lazy. I will not lie. Not in that gonna have a pretty short stream today anyway, because I don't think I have enough time to cover all the topics. I have the time to cover all the topics because I don't think they're going to be very long topics. The last portions of the stream would basically just be me talking a lot at the camera. But I need to set something up for streaming because I have, I think, found a problem with my audio. I think what I found out was that the noise gate's a little too aggressive and I cut out very often. So I need to figure that out. I'm hoping that I can figure it out. I have to really intently go at the microphone. Alright, so today in the news we're dealing with a bunch of Texas stuff popping up. I went with local stuff and I'll talk about that. I'll probably do a deep dive into all the members of the House and of the Senate tomorrow. I think that might be the plan. And the reason why I'm not doing the Senate committees like I'd planned to do yesterday is because in research, the Senate committees don't do a whole lot. Or at least they don't say what they do. I think that's just what the House does as a nice little hey, here you go, people. Time. There, it's now sitting on bowl sitting on top of the plate rather than the plate sitting on top of the bowl. If you're wondering why I have those here, it's because I keep at least one. So I clean them, use them, clean them, use them, clean them, and use them. This specific set of dishes. One of two. Really annoying sometimes. Very nice. Go. Haha! To pull up the. Go. There. As well, before we get started, I want to wish any guy, any dad who watches the stream, if you end up watching this at all, Happy Father's Day. And may it be a good one. Will Google even respect it today? Oh, hey, they're actually doing it this time. I guess I'll just get. Yeah, fucking. They actually did a Father's Day celebration. I'm gonna go fucking tweet about that. That's worthy of a tweet. So nice of you to do a Father's Day celebration. Others. Oh yeah, and to the best father in generation, going to very cautiously show a video. No, the one and only. Here it is. For Father's Day, we get a little treat. Gary Plausch, motherfuckers. Gary Plausch. But yeah, they did Father's Day, which is nice. Nice of them finally, give a little bit of effort to dads out there. We're gonna start with a bunch of Tarrant County news, specifically in the Tarrant County area. So, you thought we were gonna get to some like generalized Dallas news or Texas news? Nah, probably, but maybe not. Most of it's like in my area. I cut it down to a county. You've got like miles and miles of land to go through before you find me still. Tarrant County's new homestead exemption will automatically apply to homeowners. Tarrant County's two latest homestead exemptions approved by Commissioner Court earlier in June will automatically apply to property owners who qualify. The Tarrant appraisal district announced in a statement. So the new homestead exemption homestead exemptions are measures that exempt a certain amount of property's value from taxation. Under the Texas tax code, Texas taxing units like the county are allowed to adopt an optional homestead exemption up to 20% of a property's appraised value. These optional homestead exemptions are in addition to others required by tax code, including school district exemptions. The first optional homestead exemption commissioner approved excluded 10% of a home's appraised value from taxation. That means residents will see an average decrease of about $68 in the property tax they owe to the county. All right. So generally, they're going to cut down the cost. Let's see what the qualifications are. A homestead exemption is an exemption that removes all or a portion of a value from or your resident's homestead as authorized by the state or adopted by a local taxing unit. A homestead exemption also limits the increase of your appraised value to 10% annually. This limitation is commonly referred to as a homestead cap. Homestead cap may exceed the 10% increase if additional improvements, land, or extensive renovations are added to your residence homestead. Qualifying individuals must submit an application in order to receive the homestead exemption. This is a one-time application. However, you must complete a subsequent application if requested by the chief appraiser in order to continue benefits of a homestead exemption. There's no fee for filing this application. What is a residence homestead? The qualifications is a residence homestead is a structure including a mobile home and land up to 20 acres that is owned by one or more individuals or qualifying trust, designed or adapted for human residence, is used as a residence, is occupied by owners as their principal residence. What you will need: have a copy of your driver's license or personal identification certificate. Personal identification certificate. There we go. A lot of enunciations there. Your driver's license needs to be from the Texas Department of Public Safety, and the address must match the homestead address. License to carry and election identification certificates are not acceptable forms of identification. However, this is an obsolete thing because you don't need license to carry in Texas anymore. Very nice. All right, so back to the article at hand. Oh wait, closed out the article. The two new optional exemptions, one's from the county and another from Tarrant County Hospital District, also known as JPS Health Network, will each exclude a 10% of homes' appraised value from taxation. The appraisal district has processed these new exemptions, and homeowners will not be required to take on any additional actions to claim them. Tarrant County homeowners who are currently live in and pay taxes to the county and the hospital districts are automatically eligible for the exemption. Additional exemptions, like senior tax exemptions, are applied depending on residents' age, 65 years and over. This latest tax relief comes amid skyrocketing appraisals. Earlier this year, the appraisals district extended its deadline for homeowners. To protest their home's taxable value, state law requires all appraisals to be certified by July 25th. This is a short news story, but I figured it was worth to mention because, like, oh hey, new exemptions of homesteads, nice and Tarrant. Sandra Sedek is a reporter for American Corps members covering growth for Fort Worth Report. You can contact her, blah blah. As the Fort Worth Report, news decisions are made independently of our board members and financial supporters. Read more about our editorial independence policy here. I'll probably go over that. Good news followed by seemingly some bad news. Or at least it looked like bad news at the start, and I still don't like what I read from this one, but whatever. I don't care anymore. Well, I kind of could do, but it's like, fuck. So, imminent domain battle. Fort Worth Church loses land to city after 2-year process. I do not like this. Fort Worth City Council members adopt the resolution Tuesday to seize land owned by North Fort Worth Baptist Church for the Cantrell Sansom Road widening project. Where is this? Ah, it's near the Saginaw. Oh. Oh, you know what I realized? I could go to this church and talk to them. I could talk to a news story. Will consist of adding 2 westbound and eastbound lanes. But yeah, that's where it's at. Basically, like on my way to work. How nice. The resolution recommends the city council declares negotiations between North Fort Worth Baptist Church and City of Fort Worth unsuccessful. David White, the education administrator and administration pastor for the church, has negotiated with the city for 2 years. He said about the potential impacts nearby road construction may have to the church's septic system and the possibility of connecting the church to the city's sewer lines. If our septic system is shut down to construction related to the widening of the Cantrell Sansom Road, we'll have to close operations. We need a reasonable solution first, White wrote in his comment to the city council on June 13th. Condemnation is a type of process to use eminent domain, which gives the government authority to seize private property for public use, according to Sriram Vilupuram, an associate professor of finance and real estate at the University of Texas at Arlington. City council and others vote and agree that this land needs to be condemned. Then, once that's been decided, they reach out to the owner and they have to provide an offer. Oh, great. They have to provide an offer to the church that they're forcing to sell the property. because the government decides what they want to do with private property. Oh, and this is a religious organization, so, you know, fuck them, I guess. City council and others vote, and yeah, alright. The land is appraised, and then condemnation begins by making an offer which is based on the land's fair market value or price of the property would sell for at the time. Private property landowners have a right to hire an appraiser to see if they are indeed getting fair market value, Vilapuram said. In some instances, if landowners are unsatisfied with the offer or question whether the condemnation of the property is fair, they have a right to trial by jury, judge or jury according to the state of Texas Landowners Bill of Rights. That feels better. So the Texas Landowner Bill of Rights applies to any attempt to condemn your property. The contents in this bill are set out by the Texas legislature in Government Code Section 402.031 and Chapters 21 of the Texas Property Code. Any entity exercising eminent domain authority must provide a copy of this Bill of Rights to you. Number 1, you are entitled to receive adequate compensation if your property is condemned. This is basically a due process inclusion. Due process without compensation is illegal constitutionally in the federal constitution. It is the 5th Amendment. Let me see if I got that right. No, wait. 4th or 5th? 5th is the right to not be able to incriminate yourself. And I also think it's due process. No, I was wrong. I was wrong on the 5th Amendment. It's the right not to incriminate yourself. Bill of Rights. Yeah, I was right. Why the fuck does Google not simplify it to all pertaining matters? Yeah, alright. Nor shall be compelled in criminal case to witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. This very last sentence. That is the crux of the Bill of Rights for properties. I knew it! I knew it was the 5th Amendment! Yes! Your property can only be condemned for public use. Your property can only be condemned by a governmental entity or private entity authorized by law to do so. The entity that wants to acquire your property must notify you that it intends to condemn your property. The entity proposing to acquire your property must provide you with a written appraisal from a certified appraiser detailing the adequate compensation you're owed for your property. If you believe that a registered easement or right-of-way agent acting on behalf of the entity that wants to acquire your property has engaged in misconduct, you may file a written complaint with the Texas Real Estate Commission under section, 1101-205 of the Texas Occupation Code. The complaint should be signed and may include any supporting evidence. The condemning entity must make a bona fide offer to buy the property before it files a lawsuit to condemn the property, meaning the condemning entity must make a good faith offer that conforms with Chapter 21 of the Texas Property Code. which sounds like it makes sense because, if you remember in the article, the resolution declared between North Fort Worth Baptist Church and the city of Fort Worth was unsuccessful. So it sounds like they made good faith offers to buy the land before, they set to condemn it. I want to pick my nose so bad. You may hire an appraiser or other professional to determine the value of your property to assist you in any condemnation process or proceedings. I will have to sort out my mic later. I was going to start adjusting for sounds. Noise gate. You may hire an attorney to negotiate with the condemning entity and to represent you in any legal proceedings involving the condemnation. Before your property is condemned, you are entitled to a hearing before a court-appointed panel of 3 special commissioners. The special commissioner must determine the amount of compensation the condemning entity owes for condemning your property. The commissioner must also determine what compensation, if any, you are entitled to receive for any reduction in value of your remaining property. If you're unsatisfied with the compensation awarded by the special commissioners, or if you question whether the condemnation of your property is proper, you have the right to a trial by judge or jury. You may also appeal the trial's court judgment if you are unsatisfied with the result. I am not sure, however, after even reading all that, which part of the process we are at right now. It's a shock for property owners because they weren't planning to sell, right? That's the friction in the whole process. Purim said. I'm just gonna call him Purim. White said it would cost the church a lot of money to connect the city's sewer lines, and he's waiting for the city to provide a financial offer to help the church to make the transition from septic to connect to the city sewer lines. Steve Cook, Fort Worth's director of property management, said that the city doesn't take eminent domain lightly, though the city is on a time frame to complete the road widening project, which is projected to be completed in the spring of 2024. So that means they've got a little less than a year left to do that. They're about 3 seasons. They've got 3 seasons to go before they're out of time. TL fan? TL fan. Wait a minute. Hey, I think I know you. You're a Ricada follower, aren't you? How you doing, TL fan? Nice of you to join the show. Hopefully you enjoy what you see. It's not as sexy or as interesting as, world news and the breakdown of society, but it's a little homey. It's like my area, my county. If not a little bit outside of the reach. Something just to talk about. There's always something to talk about. It's just the matter of whether or not you can make it sexy. Also, it's Father's Day. So if you're a dad or if you have a dad you haven't told Father's Day to, tell him. Tell him. It's important. You only have one dad. I guess the dad is who you make the dad is, but you got one. You got one. Well, I said it would cost the church a lot of money to connect. Yeah. Steve Cook, yeah, time frame. Sometimes it gets to a place where you can't get the information we need. We can't get the information we need. In this particular instance, we find ourselves on a time frame. We can't just negotiate for 2 years, Cook said. I don't know. Fucking let's figure this guy out real quick. So Steve Cook, Fort Worth. I was mom and dad at my children, my youngest, and oh 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 no. I don't I can't drink alcohol right because I've got work. However, may they rest well. That is damn it. I'm sorry for your loss. I hate seeing stuff like I don't hate being told, it's just hate knowing that tragedy like that has happened. The property management department consists of 4 divisions of including facilities, management, fleet services, general services, and real estate. I'm guessing real estate might be where this goes. I don't know. I'm lingering on this, but it feels rude just to kind of like go, and it sucks. Back to topic. Hey. And I'm streaming at the same time Pippa is acquaint. The city will acquire 0.0521 acres of the church's land located at 5801 North Freeway for vehicles to have right of way on the Cantrell Sanson Road. So that drivers are connected to Cantrell Sanson Road from North Freeway frontage road into Old Denton Road, according to the resolution. The city will also use 0.0890 like 89 thousandths acres for public easement and adequate distance at the intersection, said Fernando Acosta, assistant city manager of Fort Worth. So the resolution was adopted nearly a minute before it. The city will also use amount for an easement, said Fernando Costa, assistant city manager of Fort Worth. Though the resolution was adopted, this is why I don't trust them saying they don't take it lightly. Because the resolution was adopted nearly a minute before city council meeting was about to end. Cook said that he plans to continue talking to North Fort Worth Baptist Church. We are some of the biggest fans of the city of Fort Worth, and we support the city, White said. We just want the city to help us resolve it fairly. The right-of-way acquisition is now in process, with utility relocation to begin after, according to the Cantrell Sanson Road project system, or spring 2023 updates. Construction dates are to be determined after the right-of-way is complete. And this is a story from Marissa Green, as you can see right here. Addendum A: the maximum number of pipelines that may be installed in the right-of-way acquired through the instrument is. All right. So we got the eminent domain and the homestead thing, which is a fun thing in news. Meanwhile, we got this homestead this eminent domain fucking bullshit. And now we got Fort Worth leaders choose a different point of view as they look to reshape Panther Island. If you're not from the Fort Worth area and you don't know what Panther Island is, and even if you are from the Fort Worth area and you still somehow don't know what Panther Island is, the Panther Island project is a project that is designed to basically make Fort Worth into sort of like a river city. Like a river walk from Oklahoma. Panther Island Pavilion. Rather here. Panther Island Project. USAC. So Panther Island, City of Fort Worth, comprehensive plans for a greater density in districts close to downtown, including Panther Island. The district is impacted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers flood control project. However, no federal money is being used to accomplish the city's sustainable growth goals for the district. That's Panther Island. USACE flood control project. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Central City Flood Control Project addresses Fort Worth's flood risk resulting from explosive population growth. The two main components are the rerouting of a section of the Trinity River north of downtown, modifying a large park on the city's east side to better manage flood events. Maps. Just in case. All right. Oh, hey. That's what I'll do. So I think this is what it's looking at. So you got the West Trinity River. And what they plan on doing is it's the Fort Worth City area. So this is a general overview of what it looks like they plan on doing. So it looks like they might cut through here and make it one large river flow. Yep. So existing water and then the proposed water. So it cuts through here and then they expand this portion right. That is what the Panther Island project. They're literally making an island in the Fort Worth City area. So Low Water Dam, Samuel Avenues Dam, Main Street Bridge. That'll cut through here. Henderson Street Bridge. White Settlement Code. Your water feature. And then it just flows down the rest. With the widening area for water, it should be able to increase how much water can sit in there without flooding. And yeah, that just seems to be what the plan is. All right, gonna. Well, it's just a smaller project for the city of Fort Worth, by the city of Fort Worth, to make things a little easier, a little better. And besides, who doesn't love a good river walk? It'll attract tourism. I'm appreciative of it, at the very least. Fort Worth leaders have so yeah, back to the topic at hand. Fort Worth leaders choose a different point of view as they look to reshape Panther Island. Oh God. Fort Worth leaders have an idea for what they want to see Panther Island be in Panther Island. Their view is shaped by decades of debates and public discourse, but in Dennis Chiesa's architecture studio classes at UT Arlington, visions for the 800-acre of former industrial land between downtown and north side have looked very different. Architect Michael Bennett, who modified a June 15th discussion about the future of economic development in and around Panther Island, said he knows firsthand the bizarre and sometimes good ideas architecture students can produce. I don't know if I would have said they're weird or bizarre. I mean, not wilder than rerouting the river, Chiesa said, earning laughs from the audience. The decades-old plan to reroute the Trinity River was at the center of the Fort Worth Report, June 15 candid conversation event at Texas Wesleyan University. The $1.16 billion Central Flood Control Project, which received $403 million in federal funding last year, will pave the way for a riverfront development along the Trinity and create the appearance of a natural island known as Panther Island. Chiesa, who grew up in the Northside neighborhood, was among the panelists who shared their vision of success for the project. The event was also featured Tarrant County College Chief Operating Officer Suzanne Alanis, Downtown Fort Worth Incorporated President Andy Taft, and Aaron Abelson of HR&A Advisor, the firm charged with mapping the future of real estate development in and around Panther Island. While the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is on track to dig 1.5 million bypass channel near downtown by 2032, Jesus Christ, the plan to develop the surrounding acreage is still undetermined. Earlier this year, the city of Fort Worth, Tarrant County, and Tarrant Regional Water District teamed up with Tarrant County College, Downtown Fort Worth Incorporated, the Greater Real Estate Council of Fort Worth, and nonprofit Streams and Valleys to update a 2-decade-old economic development strategy. Bennett, principal and chief executive of Bennett Partners, is part of the team that helped select HR&A advisors for the job. He asked Abelson how the firm is balancing the need to follow what the market wants without abdicating the government's role in shaping the development plan and that works for the city as a whole. HR&A is encouraged by the fact that seven public and nonprofit organizations already recognize the need to work together and get behind the shared strategy for Panther Island. Abelson said that the report will help government agencies and other project partners to learn when to say yes to development, but also when to say no, he said. Key to long-term success is developing major portions of the project in stages, creating anchor amenities, and getting the right partners to stick around through the length of the project, Abelson said. I think a lot of it really does tie back into being grounded in a vision that has consensus, that has buy-in, and people understand, Abelson said. Beyond Fort Worth's downtown and cultural districts, which stands to benefit economically from the project, other neighborhoods will be impacted, Chiesa said. The project will likely increase the housing costs in the majority Hispanic North Side and the Riverside neighborhoods. In addition to taking customers away from the small businesses and potentially detracting from the area's rich Mexican-American culture, Chiesa said, I think the city will have some challenges and maybe some responsibility in providing mechanisms to allow some of these residents to be able to stay in their neighborhood, Chiesa said. That means not just development, but policies that encourage and incentivize people to stay in their neighborhoods. I'm guessing they're talking about specialized tax cuts and maybe perhaps credit funds for people who live there. That way, even though the increase of property costs will be an issue, it won't be outweighed by any benefits. Yes, students proposed the idea of using the western edge of Panther Island exclusively for public space, such as parks, flea markets, and smaller commercial businesses. Part of the problem with the original strategy for Panther Island, developed in 2003, was it focused too much on attracting developers rather than developing a network of public spaces, Chiesa said. I actually like that idea. Rather than contracting it out to big people who would basically just dump money and then more money and then possibly sell when the going got tough, give it to people who will stick around. they will be long. It won't be as good as the short-term growth from, you know, developers basically plopping down and spending bunches of money, but small businesses can certainly benefit the area because they will be there. They are incentivized and incentivized to stay there and decentivized from leaving. Because if they leave, they lose all of their money opportunity. Developers are basically venture capitals, if I remember right. And they would just go there and spend money until it was no longer profitable, sell it out, having increased all the value of the area and made it impossible for, I don't know, someone of a smaller capacity to buy. It would be a mess. I actually like this idea. It's so hot. That would benefit everybody. It would benefit the businesses that will own this island or own this land, because ultimately this will generate money no matter what, he said. Basically what I just said, but I just said it before I read it out loud. How Fort Worth leaders are approaching Panther Island strategy. Hopefully they approach it with care and temperance, prudence, and agree with the idea that, yeah, maybe small business owners should own this land to, you know, keep the long-term healthy economic growth. South of Panther Island, downtown Fort Worth Incorporated, the planning and advocacy group for downtown businesses, has managed several economic development efforts in the area. It's either Bennett or Benet asked Taft if he or his organization will have a role in managing Panther Island once things start getting built. Downtown Fort Worth Incorporated could offer its expertise to landowners looking to create a public improvement district in the future, Taft said. We're adding a lot of inventory of developable land that used to be commercial and industrial, and I think it will be extraordinarily attractive, Taft said. And the people and the new uses that are going to be coming into Panther Island are going to generate the need for enhanced maintenance, security, and the sort of things that we do in downtown. Bennett pointed to a warning from the former mayor of Pittsburgh, Tom Murphy, who said having a great plan but no one to implement it could put the project in jeopardy. He asked Abelson how project leaders can ensure that a good plan doesn't go to waste. JD Granger's 2022 exit from his position as executive director of the Trinity River Vision Authority, the organization charged with governing Panther Island, left the project without a clear leader. City leaders have expressed desire to explore a new government structure for the project, and HRNA is expected to offer recommendations in its reports. Responsibility and accountability are key in the project, Abelson said. A goal which is tied back to the effective governance and stewardship. The project's leaders, whoever that may be, also needs a vision to drive towards, Abelson said. Hold on, I gotta do. I am using a pillow as a paddle as a saddle in this chair because it is the best way to not sit without fucking up basically everything. What they're driving towards needs to be this visionary thing, this thing that the people can understand and is still grounded in the practicalities, and people believe it can be implemented, Abelson said. Tarrant County College has several assets in and around the Trinity River, including the historic TXU generator plant. Alanis pointed out that the San Antonio is #1 for historic assets in Texas, while Fort Worth is #2. And TCC hopes to sell the building to a developer committed to preserving as much of it as possible. TCC is Tarrant County College. It's a community college. It's cheap. I think it's fair. You can actually privately pay without too much trouble with funding efforts. I would know. I bought some classes there without federal aid. That was nice. As a taxing entity, the college is interested in the best use of all property in the community, including the ones TCC owns. Alana said, money today is not the key driver of its decisions, she said. Our furtherance of that objective is not to take the first developer who comes along or worry that the value might grow later, Alana said. Over the past 2 decades, Fort Worth downtown has lost many of its corporate tenants, including Radio Shack and Pier 1 Imports, Bennett said. Meanwhile, residential development has increased as residents seek to live in the central city. The original 2003 strategy for Panther Island included residential development. The idea was radical at the time. When the success of downtown was unproven, Taft said, now that the apartment development has shown success in other parts of Fort Worth Central City, the new plan should reconsider the importance of residential development to Panther Island, Taft said. The idea of Panther Island being a successful residential area, the idea of it is no longer a wild stretch. It can happen, Taft said. The question now is, should it be the predominant use of the island? I presume. Honestly, I think it might. I think it should. A residential area with people in there buying and selling. I would think that the only annoying thing would be the delivering of, like, goods. My mom lives close to there. I should probably ask her how she feels about it. Oh, we're almost at the end. What does success look like on Panther Island? Benet closed out the discussion asking panelists what their vision of success for Panther Island looks like, especially after flood control elements are completed and raising the leave system allows for the development on the riverfront. Complex questions over the project's governance and financing are not going to be solved over the next 6 months. As HRNA develops its strategy report, Appleton said his goal is to map out the practicalities of managing a project this size so that the city and other partners can carry out a larger vision informed by the public input. Success looks like a place that everyone in Fort Worth feels welcome and feels there is a reason to go there. Intuitively, you would want a city area to be as attractive to tourists and people to come live in it because it ultimately raises the value of the city by keeping people there and buying. Obviously. Success will not come from looking at the cost of the project and asking if the investment is worth it. Alana said, many big investments, including Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport and the Alliance Corridor, seemed impossible before they were built, Alana said. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Alliance Corridor. Is that the toll road? I've been seeing that pop up. Center Hub, Alliance Airport. Oh no, this is just the general area of what it is. $15 to downtown Fort Worth. So the Alliance area is more in the Keller, Elizabethtown, I would say Saginaw, but it's more north of Blue Mound. Saginaw is a northwest going area. Huh. This is actually pretty cool to look through, though. Alliance Texas map. Now we look back and are like, of course, she said. And I think that this will be one of those projects that serves Fort Worth that way. By the end of the project, Fort Worth will be better protected from devastating flooding. Staff said the river will become a much bigger part of life in Fort Worth, he said, and create a new area of development above land. Members of the community, including Northside residents, will need to feel like they have a seat at the table for the project to be considered successful, Chiesa said. If the public spaces are programmed in a way people feel like they can take part in it, that is one level of success. But if people can have a role in shaping the future of the project, Chiesa believes project leaders will meet much less resistance from the community. Downtown Fort Worth isn't the only thing that was different when the first Panther Island plan was developed in 2003. The city as a whole has different priorities today, Chiesa said. Especially in the last 4 or 5 years, we have become a lot more aware about of course they had to go into this. Social injustice and social issues, and so we have to take a look at those through a different lens. Maybe through a lens of equity. No, equality. Equality. No equity. Justice said to applause from crowd, what do we need to really do is benefit most of the people, especially in the adjacent communities. What do we need to really do? What we really need to do. What the fuck? Hold on, What do we need to do to really benefit most of the people, especially in the adjacent communities? Yes. And that's the last of it. Chiesa, god damn it. Stick to the fucking program. Don't jump into fucking social injustice, social issues. Look, it's one thing to address issues of, like, I guess, residents. However, residents' issues do not equate social injustice issues. What is a social injustice? What's his name? Dennis Chiesa. I will privately contact him about the social injustice issues that he thinks there exists in Fort Worth area. Yeah, I just need to adjust the sound gate, Joey. It's I was listening to myself and it cuts out a little strongly at certain words, so I just need to go and sort that out. After that, smooth sailing. The JD Granger is exiting. This is in 2020, 2022. Upon his exit, Granger announced the consulting company JD Granger LLC. In an April 22 post on his personal Facebook page, Granger announced his departure, partially chronicling his decade with the Water District, and announced his plan to stay in Fort Worth, where he will help the Water District as it transitions into its next chapter. Add some compression before the gate if you have the option. Yeah, I'll do that. I don't really know how to fuck with compression. So I do have compressors. I should drag you over here to where I live and have you help me work out the sound issues. I guess if I had a day off, I could bring it to you and. Nah, but I need the same mic. Damn it. Oh well. JD Granger. Yeah. So basically, JD Granger exited last year, and that was a kind of a pivotal point. 4-to-1 ratio. Done. Hopefully that sounds better. God, it's actually so cool being able to like fuck with it right here. It's actually the coolest thing to me. Crispy. I need to listen to myself now. I'm going to go listen to myself. Give me just a moment. I should probably mute my audio. Oh wait, does it pop up in OBS? All right. That was like a minute ago. And then I'm just gonna be waiting to listen to myself as just it. All right. I'll probably need to. God, it sounds so nice. I think that would. I think that probably will help out significantly. Thank you, Joey. I'm glad to have a sound guy to help me out with that. Get back to oh. I think I like Opera a lot right now because Star Telegram hits me with must turn off ad block, but I don't get that in reader mode. I think this is my bypass for a bunch of ads. So, when are outdoor burn bans issued? I was also kind of curious about this when I saw it popped up, so, you know, I'm going to obviously cover it. Because, you know, in Texas, we burn shit when we can. When are outdoor burn bans issued? What to know as temperatures rise in Tarrant County? North Texas has felt the heat this week as temperatures consistently reach highs in the 90s with the hottest day in Fort Worth being 101 degrees on June 11th. And I guess if anyone is particularly curious, Tarrant County is about yay big. And if anybody else doesn't know, this is a senatorial district, I believe. It's either Senate district or a House district. Man, that bitch goes all the way into Arlington. I love how Burleson is just outside of the line. So some of Azle is in Tarrant County. Benbrook, Primrose, Everman, Raleigh, Mansfield, Euless, Bedford, Grapevine, Southlake, Colleyville. This isn't Texas County. Oh. Oklahoma has a county called Texas County. That's amazing. Texas County. Yeah, it looks like Senate because this is only 24 county seats. Or despite all the counties, it only counts 24. Tarrant County looks large when you look at it on a map, but when you actually realize how big it is in comparison with the rest of Texas, it's kind of fucking small. And I like how some of these counties are separated by geographical features. North Texas, all right. If the temperature has felt warmer than what your phone weather app says, it's due to the heat index, which has ranged about 10 degrees warmer than the actual temperature. The National Weather Service in Fort Worth reports highs ranging in the 90s and to the hundreds Saturday, with a heat index anywhere from 105 to 118. Holy shit. Joey, I hope you're keeping a wet cloth on you, consistently draining it out. Because, God damn, dude. You're working out in this heat in a shop with muggy air and you can't open it up? Tarrant County was under an ozone no burn day on Friday. However, there was no active burn bans at the time. What is an outdoor burn ban? Well, it is a ban on any type of outdoor burning in unincorporated areas of the county. The unincorporated area is a place that is outside of governmental municipality, meaning that not government, not governed by a city authority such as the city of Fort Worth. Therefore, unincorporated areas are under the county's purview. An outdoor burn ban applies to unincorporated areas or counties since the cities have their own ordinance prohibiting burning. When is a burn ban issued? Well, it is issued when the county is under imminent threat of severe damage, injury, or loss of life or property due to a wildfire that caused by drought conditions. Can I barbecue during a burn ban? Probably, yes, because, it's cooking. As long as it's contained, I'd assume so. The Tarrant County Fire Marshal's official office says use common sense when cooking outdoors during a burn ban. Gas grills are the safest outdoor cooking option. Please keep the flames covered during the operation of your gas grill. If you want a charcoal or wood burning grill, it must be on a concrete, gravel, or dirt surface at least 5 feet away from combustible material. Please keep the cover on the grill during use. Smokers can be used if they are placed on a concrete, gravel, or dirt surface. Same conditions. Keep the flames covered during use. Be sure to have a water source, such as a bucket of water or a garden hose, nearby in case of emergencies. Tarrant County is under abnormally dry to moderate drought conditions as of Tuesday, according to U.S. Drought Monitor. Last year, the county approved a burn ban ahead of 4th of July due to persistent hot and dry weather and severe drought conditions. How is it dry weather when it's fucking muggy all the time? What's the difference between temperature and heat index? The phrase "it's not the temperature, it's not the heat, it's the humidity" has some truth behind it. The heat index is what temperature feels like compared to the actual temperature. I guess for those who aren't living in high heat areas, index is what we feel. The temperature is what it says. The temperature in Fort Worth was 90 degrees on Friday at noon. However, the humidity made it feel hotter, and the heat index was 93 degrees. It's like wind chill. It's like 30 degrees in a place, but 20 mile per hour wind makes it feel like 10 degrees. How does ozone impact burning? The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality notes certain weather conditions should be noted before conducting an outdoor burning, such as wind directions, temperature inversion, and ozone levels. On Friday, Dallas-Fort Worth area was in an ozone action day, and the air quality index was moderate. I was trying to figure out how I could turn off ad blocker, but I don't need to anymore. God, this is such a fantastic thing to find. Alright. Time to pin this. And oh shit, I forgot. Don't mind me, I just forgot. The Dragon's Treasure. A haven for anime and tea lovers. It's a fantastic place to buy tea, coffee, and actually herbs and spices. You can actually craft your own tea, and I think if the tea man is focus on it, you can actually also craft your own coffee. Yeah, eucalyptus, lavender, hibiscus, peppermint tea, spearmint tea, cinnamon inclusions. I might just buy these cinnamon inclusions just so I can throw the taste of cinnamon in whatever I have. But yeah, these are only available to Dragon's Treasure members for the Dragon's Wing. Remember to use code Layman for 10% off all your purchases. That is everything you see here, from teaware to this tea membership, to the teas itself, and the tea of the month. And it also includes coffee now, which I've been drinking, and it's the Dio coffee. 2 tablespoons per 8 ounces is just fine. And it tastes adequately strong. Not watered down. Even if it is watered down, it actually still tastes very good. Trust me, I have experimented and I've messed it up. And this is still very good tasting coffee. It tastes like a medium roast should. Inoffensive, still flavorful. I wouldn't actually know because I'm not a learned and styled coffee drinker. I'm starting to enjoy the taste. But also watch out for the caffeine. That'll fuck you up real hard. Yeah, code Layman for 10% off your sales. Fantastic savings with fantastic tasting tea and coffee. I will send you to Jesus. Didn't even hear me. He's dead asleep. I have a lot more stories than I thought I have. Community. Oh, it's just a fucking story. All right, Tarrant County Commissioners approved voting precinct split in Northeast Fort Worth. There will be 22 new voting precincts in Tarrant County spanning Fort Worth, Haslett, and Mansfield. It was approved by Tarrant County Commissioners in a meeting on May 2nd. The change was one of the last official actions by former election administrator Hader Garcia. The overview. The county is complying with Texas election code according to the document. A split's a voting precinct if it has more than 5,000 registered voters. The election administration identified 22 boundary changes to accommodate population growth for the 2024 election. Both Republican and Democrat parties ahead agreed with the change according to documents. Current situation, the precinct 3659 had 4,212 registered voters as of February 28th. The precinct is projected to add 2,100 voters, pushing it over the limit. The new precinct will be 3842 according to documents. The change will split the current precinct in half at Heritage Trace Parkway in Northeast Texas, making it the southern boundary of the new precinct. The western boundary will be Beach Street, Ray White Road, and will be the eastern boundary, and the northern boundary is Flush Court. I know this place. I know this area. I clean up here. This is where one of my workplace locations are at. Keller Roanoke. Going back to the map. Closer to here. All right, so from North Beach Street. It said North Beach Street will be Beach Street will be the western boundary. So here. Maybe. All right, Heritage Trace Parkway will be the north and the northeast of Fort Worth, making it southern boundary. Okay. So I need to find Flush Street. Bruce Snow, Fossil Creek. Bruce Snow, South Lake. Heritage Trace Parkway, yeah, there it is. We'll make it southern boundary. All right, Keller Haslett. I think that's where my brother is. Or Saginaw, no. I guess I could just look it up. Rather than, you know. Yep, figured it out. 2.5 cups of coffee. This said 38.42. Man, it's that narrow? So wait, what was it before? 36.59. Heritage Trace Parkway. 76248. Damn. Heritage makes up the southern boundary. Flush Court. I guess I should look up Flush Court. Heritage Trace makes the southern boundary. Northern boundary is Flush Court. Oh, that's small. And its eastern boundary will be Ray White Road. Yep. Beach. Heritage Trace. So I guess around I guess it stretches out kind of like in this area. That's a new precinct. I don't know why I focused so hard in on that. I knew the area really well. Former Marine challenges power of courts martial to try military retirees. The petition of this week's Supreme Court. Under the Uniform Code of the Military Justice, military court martials retain jurisdiction over retired service members. Court martials can punish a broader range of conduct and face fewer constitutional constraints than a civilian court. Therefore, since the time of the Korean War, the Supreme Court has repeatedly limited courts martial to the narrowest judicial jurisdiction deemed absolutely essential to maintaining discipline among troops in active service. And active service might be the active words here. This week, we highlight cert petition that asks the court to consider, among other things, whether the United States military justice extension of court-martial jurisdictions to retired service members violates the Constitution. Because after their service, they're no longer military people, they're private citizens. The question comes to the Supreme Court in the case of Stephen Larrabee, who served the Marines for 20 years before retiring the Fleet Marine Corps Reserve in August 2015. Unlike traditional reserve components of the armed forces, the Fleet Marine Corps Reserve is effectively a retirement status for Marines who had previously served in active duty. Its members receive a pension, lack any military authority, and do not face any fitness obligations. Three months after his retirement, Larrabee recorded himself sexually. Oh. Oh. That's not good. That's not good at all. Larrabee recorded himself sexually assaulting a civilian bartender at a bar that he managed in Iwakuni, Japan. He was charged under USMJ with sexual assault and indecent recording. After pleading guilty at a court-martial, he was sentenced to 10 months in prison and dishonorably discharged from the military. All right. From the outset, I will assert my opinions and observations with this issue. Fancy bullshit. I'm so ready for this to just be some bullshit that this guy's getting railroaded. Nope. Is a right piece of shit. That's the problem. However, due process is important. And Fleet Marine Corps Reserves is still a reserve. Just because he gets a pension, lacks any military authority, and does not face any fitness obligations, does not mean he is not still actively currently serving in the Marine Corps. It's a reserve unit. The Fleet Reserve and Fleet Marine Corps Reserve were established to provide an available reserve for former members of the regular Navy or Navy Reserve and regular Marine Corps or Marine Corps Reserve who could be used without further training to fill billets requiring experience. Requiring experienced personnel in the first stage of mobilization during an emergency or in time of war. While not on active duty, members of the Fleet Reserve and Fleet Marine Corps Reserve may accept employment in any civil branch of public service and may receive the pay and allowances incident to such employment and additional pay and allowances to which they may be entitled under the provisions of law. Members of the Fleet Reserve and Fleet Marine Corps Reserve may be ordered to active duty without their consent. This is important. Without their consent essentially means they are still under the jurisdiction and authority of the Marines, of the government. One, in time of war or national emergency declared by Congress, and for 6 months thereafter, in time of national emergency declared by President or when authorized by law. Marine MFR and FMCR are not unless urgently required by particular circumstances, or to active duty until examined by a medical examiner of the Navy or Navy Reserve and found physically qualified for active duty, when otherwise authorized by law. In time of peace, members of this may be required to perform not more than 20 months of active duty for training during each 4-year period. It is still an active role in the military. It's just heavily reduced. Therefore, while you could argue that it's just a retirement package that still gives classifications, you can still be called back for duty as required by the government. You're not free of obligation when you do this. Larrabee first appealed his conviction in military courts. He argued that when Congress authorized court-martial jurisdiction over military retirees, it extended its constitutional authority to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces under Article 1 and Section 8 of the Constitution. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces denied his appeal in 2019. The Supreme Court has declined to review that ruling. Larrabee then filed a new challenge to his conviction in a civilian court. In addition to his prior argument about congressional overreach, he contended that his conviction was unconstitutional for another reason. Although the Fifth Amendment carves out an exception from the general grand jury requirement for cases arising in the land or naval forces, that exemption did not apply to his case because he assaulted a civilian on a civilian property while not on active duty. But he's still a reserve. He is still in authority and control of the military. I would say that is active duty enough. What was his argument again? A federal district court in Washington, D.C. agreed that the court-martial of retired service members violates the Constitution, but the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District Court of Columbia Circuit reversed, looking to founding-era British and colonial practices. The D.C. Circuit concluded that the original public meaning of Article 1 suggests that the framers intended to grant Congress power over military retirees. In Larrabee's case, the Court of Appeals reasoned arose in the land or naval forces under the Fifth Amendment because his status in the FMCR might require him to return to active duty in the event of future war or national emergency. Yes, this is actually what I read. This is actually the point I made when I read the code. Comptroller, yeah, defense.gov. And Larrabee v. Del Toro, Larrabee asked the justices to grant review and reverse the D.C. Circuit's ruling in opposing Larrabee's petition for review of his appeal in the military courts. The government urged the justices to wait for other courts of appeals to consider the issue that concern now counsels in favor of review. Larrabee argues because the D.C. Circuit Court and Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces disagree as to why Congress may authorize the court-martial of military retirees, The range of offenses covered by this sweeping grant of military jurisdictions is stunning, Larrabee writes. This court should resolve the critical constitutional question before millions of persons who have honorably served their country are exposed to the military justice system for offenses committed in civilian life years, if not decades, after retiring from active duty. Hold on, I gotta ask a friend something. Through the honorably charge. Pertinent question to him, because if this turns out in a certain way, this has heavy implications for my good friend. So, I'm going to get that opinion, and if I get it during the show, I'll share it with you guys. If I don't, I'll share it with you guys tomorrow. Enlisted members of the regular Navy and regular Marine Corps or the Navy Reserves, Reserve Corps, upon completion of at least 20 years of active service in the armed forces, to include oh wait. Service. Any. All right. Department of Defense management rank. So yeah, that's the case basically. Here are lists, featured petitions, Harris v. Texas, issue whether the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals contravened the 8th and 14th Amendment in this court's precedents when it evaluated petitioner's intellectual disability claim based on its own standard instead of medically accepted criteria, and whether petitioner received ineffective assistance of counsel in violations of the 6th Amendment. Ah, okay. El Nino has officially started. Here's what it could mean for Colorado. Colorado, I'm a giraffe. After 3 weeks, after 3 back-to-back years of periodic cooling of ocean water near the equator west of South America, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration recently confirmed those ocean currents had shifted to their warm phase. Move over, cool La Nina. Warm El Nino is back. Oh. Okay, cool. The periodic cooling and warming of Pacific oceanic currents, colloquially referred to by their nicknames La Nina and El Nino, can trigger profound effects on weather and climate patterns worldwide, including Colorado. Weather and climate systems are complicated, and predicting the trickle-down effects of warming and cooling in ocean currents comes with some measure of uncertainty. Still, climate researchers at NOAA are confident that warming El Nino phase will continue through summer and fall and last through March 2024. El Nino's effects in Colorado. Climatologist with Colorado Climate Center says that so they're the CCC, say that the climatological crystal ball is still a bit murky, but El Nino is already starting to have a small effect on the state and will likely start being a significant factor in late summer. More rainfall and more drought. Climatologist with Colorado Climate Center says El Nino could mean a slightly greater chance for a weaker summer monsoon in southern Colorado and stronger likelihood of rainfall in the eastern plains. That raises the odds of drier than normal July and August in the southwest and wetter than average season in the eastern part of the state, said the assistant state climatologist Becky Bollinger. Warmer temperatures, the El Nino ocean patterns also makes it more likely that July, August, and September will be warmer than usual, or warmer than normal, especially in southern Colorado, the easternmost corner of the state, and other regions where drought often lingers. If El Nino does bring more wet weather to eastern Colorado, it'll help keep temperatures in check, Bollinger said. Wetter, snowier fall. Right now, data suggests El Nino might increase the likelihood of more rainfall and snow in September, October, and November. There's a lag between warming ocean temperatures and their influence on global air temperatures. It is likely that El Nino is already having a small effect on the current climate pattern but Rocky Belota, a climatologist with NOAA's National Center for Environmental Information, said the warming ocean phase could likely be a bigger factor around the world in 2024. That doesn't mean that we are not already seeing the effects, but it would probably have more effect later, he said on Wednesday briefing call. You know, just a little update on the fucking weather. Not too big of a deal. What? Hold on. Damn. All right. Supermajorities in state capitals push controversial policies to the edge. Lawmakers in state capital this year have been flexing their superpowers. Oh, this is North Carolina. I thought this was Texas news. Oh, well. North Carolina, a new supermajority of Republicans enacted abortion restrictions in Vermont. A new supermajority of Democrats imposed climate-sensitive home heating law, and in Montana, a GOP supermajority booted a transgender lawmaker from the House floor. In each case, the views of their political opponents ultimately were irrelevant. By at least one measure, political power is at its highest mark in decades. That's because Republicans or Democrats hold majorities so large in 28 states that they could override gubernatorial vetoes without any help from the minority party. Supermajorities give one party a lot of power to do what they want to do. And Steve Rogers, a political scientist at St. Louis University who focuses on elections and state legislature, there is no single standard for a supermajority, though the term generally is equated with whatever threshold is needed to override a gubernatorial veto. In many states, that's a 2/3 majority, and in some cases, a 3/5. In 6 states, Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia, it takes one simple majority to override a veto. But those states will all have Republican majorities around 70% or greater, easily exceeding the definition of a supermajority. The number of states with supermajorities. The number of states with supermajorities is at its highest level since at least 1982. Oh, that's great. With 19 Republican supermajorities and 9 Democratic ones. According to research by Rogers, this year began with supermajorities in 26 legislatures, including new Republican ones in Florida and Montana and new Democrat ones in Vermont. That total grew in March when Louisiana State Representative Francis Thompson, who had served nearly 50 years as a Democrat, switched to the Republican Party to give the GOP a supermajority. Thompson cited his conservative voting record while asserting that Democrat leaders were pushing issues that didn't align with his Christian values. But I would also interject into this article an idea. Thompson should not be voting on his values. He should be voting on the values of the constituents that voted him into power. I would respect, hopefully, that his values as the voting power for his party aligned significantly with the constituents that he was elected by. I would hope that such alignment was not circumstantial but intentional. In April, North Carolina State Representative Tercia Cotham switched from Democratic to Republican to give the GOP another supermajority 6 weeks after Cotham's switch. He provided a pivotal vote as the new supermajority overrode Democratic Governor Roy Cooper's veto of legislation banning most abortions after 12 weeks of pregnancy. Some North Carolina Republicans are already eyeing other proposals they would pass with the supermajority, including an election bill containing provisions that Cooper previously vetoed and an expansion of taxpayer-funded vouchers for students to attend private schools. Fuck Roy Cooper. The supermajority creates an opportunity to adjust the playbook to ensure that we are scoring more touchdowns, so to speak, than we might have previously, said North Carolina Republican State Representative John Torbett, chair of an education committee. The new Republican supermajority in Louisiana also could soon be put to rest. Could soon be put to the test. Democratic Governor John Bel Edwards said he intends to veto a package of bills that targets the LGBTQ community, including banning non-gender affirming care or gender affirming treatments for transgender minors. Stop fucking with kids, my guy. Louisiana lawmakers have convened for the first 2 veto sessions since 1974, but Republicans now have 2/3 majority necessary to override Edwards' veto. Vermont's Democrat-led legislature is to return to the Capitol next week to consider overriding vetoes by Republican Governor Phil Scott, including one bill expanding child care subsidies for some families. The Democratic supermajority also already notched one victory in May overriding Scott's veto on Clean Heat Standard bill that credits utility for energy efficiency technology and penalizes them for not meeting certain goals. Scott vetoed a similar bill last year before Democrats obtained supermajority, but an override failed by one vote in the House. Republican-led legislature in Kansas, Kentucky this year also overrode vetoes by Democratic governor, including on bills dealing with transgender issue, abortion, and work requirements for food assistance. Political scientists cite a couple of reasons for the rise of supermajority. I guess, to put it simply, the critical paradigm between, or the critical division in votes has become more apparent these days than normal. Of course, they're going to talk about gerrymandering, but I'm guessing this is only in relations to Republican politicians. Democrats have for years bemoaned partisan redistricting plans that helped Republicans win far more congressional seats than expected, but that advantage has disappeared. The first election held in 2020 census, Democrats battled back with their own gerrymandering that shaped districts to their advantage and essentially evened the outcome, though Republicans won control of the House from Democrats. Closely divided chamber more accurately reflects the ratio of Republicans to Democrats. Ah. So from just the main portion, it seems like their advantage has been lost. Or the GOP Republican advantage was lost, and a balance was gained, and so the Democratic grumbling about gerrymandering has been decreased. If you're a voter in California, you know explicitly which party owns policy. It's the Democrat Party, Allegra said. So if you don't like the direction of policy in California, you have a very easy choice. I guess this should also be. On behalf of the voters, it might be a good thing because it helps clarify responsibility. Yeah, so that's all that goes into that. So supermajorities, they're increasing. A sense of betrayal. Liberal dismay as Muslim-led U.S. city bans pride flags. I love to see it, man. I love to see it. But you know what I also love to see? That's right. Code Layman being used at the Dragon's Treasure for 10% off of all coffee, teas, Dragon Wings membership. I have in a gallery off to the right who fucking broke down at that transition. Use code Layman at Dragon's Treasure for 10% off your purchases. It's for the only teas of the month, only beans, which is the coffee of the month, Dragon Wings teaware, and all coffee and tea that you can buy. Includes the merchandise, which is a t-shirt basically. Yeah. There you go. So if you have a taste for coffee or tea, and I have had a taste for it plenty because I emptied this whole fucking cup, and you know, this kettle actually was bought from the site. Use code Layman at checkout for 10% off your purchases. So you can enjoy fantastic tasting tea, coffee and tea with fantastic savings. No, I should start saying you can enjoy fantastic tasting savings. That would be funny. How was that transition? Ah. Many liberals celebrated when Hamtramck, Michigan elected a Muslim majority council in 2015, but a vote to exclude LGBTQ plus flags from city property has soured relations. Wow! Liberals in Michigan really thought that the highly conservative anti-LGBT religious group was going to vote in their favor. How asinine and unsightful. They lacked the foresight to see this coming. For some reason, they associated this religious group with alliance on their side. Holy shit. That is fantastic. When does this issue pop up? Saturday? This is yesterday. Hamtramck. Watch immigrant from Yemen during city council meeting in Hamtramck, Michigan, slams the city for wanting to fly LGBTQ flags from city property. Our soldiers fought, bled, and died in the jungles of Iwo Jima and the trenches and the beaches of Omaha so that you and I can live in peace and prosperity and freedom. Those soldiers fought under the American flag and no other. An immigrant from Yemen understands that better than stupid fucking Americans these days. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Hamtramck liberals. You get what you fucking deserve. You lukewarm, intellectual idiots. It is fantastic. At the council meeting during which religious rights were the main issue, these two lesbians thought the best way to argue their case was to dress up like clowns and kiss. Are we really meant to take these people seriously? Well done, Hamtramck. I cannot handle fucking notification. Come back, come back. Thank fucking God. I thought the stream died for a second. We're back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. In 2015, liberal residents in Hamtramck, Michigan celebrated as their city attracted international attention for becoming the first in the United States to elect a Muslim majority city council. They viewed the power shift and diversity as a symbolic but meaningful rebuke of Islamophobic rhetoric. How's that diversity turning out for you, Michigan? That diversity and inclusion doesn't really pan out when the diversity you're voting for is conservative. Get fucked, you retards! God. Oh. I feel like that Blark and Sun meme where the guy just fucking superpower floats into the air and floats across the house to go humiliate his son with godlike powers. This feels like that ascension. That was central theme of then Republican president candidate Donald Trump's campaign. Was it really the rhetoric of his campaign, or did he just call out certain Islamic people that he felt were indicative of Islamic belief and American spirit? I don't know. Maybe, just maybe, Trump wasn't calling out Islam as a whole. He was calling out bad practices in Islam and possibly even people of Islamic belief who either didn't practice their belief well enough or who didn't abide by the American spirit and American laws properly within America. I don't know. I didn't watch his campaign. But I'm also pretty sure that I don't trust the Guardian to represent his arguments with good faith. This week, many of those same residents watched in dismay as now fully Muslim and social conservative city council passed legislation banning pride flags from being flown on city property that had, like many others, being flown around the country, been intended to celebrate the LGBTQ plus community. If I sound particularly joyous to this, it's because I am. I will not hide my particular taste of enjoyment to the effects of Schadenfreude against the liberals who thought this diversity would pay out in their favor. I'm so stuck up on this. This is... when you see backfiring so strong that people who thought they could sit and smile, enjoy for years because they got a symbolic and surface level agenda passed, throw up in their own fucking faces is a sublime flavor. And I suggest everyone who has a particular leaning look and enjoy how certain policies backfire in the face of your opponents. It is worth a taste of a certain kind of backfire. Enjoy it a little bit. You don't have to enjoy it too much. You could just... there is no necessity to be the better person. There's no necessity to be the bigger man. Just be honest with your hatred towards your opponents and enjoy their suffering in some level and capacity. It is soul food that you can enjoy for generations. And if you're not the kind of person to enjoy that, just sample it. I promise you, your attempt to be the bigger person is improved upon the experience of this flavor. Trust me. It is worth it. Muslim residents packing City Hall erupted in cheers after City Council's unanimous vote and on Hamtramck's social media pages, the taunting has been relentless. Bagless city. Hey, United States. How's that Ethiopian extortion policy working out when you got that thing coming on in Michigan? Hey, Biden, what are you gonna do? Cut funding from Michigan now? Try it, you motherfucker. I bet you fucking won't. Black people in Africa can't practice their own fucking judicial system and legislative policies. How about you try that on Michigan? Give it a shot. Let's see how it works out. Emphasizing with emojis of bicep flexing. In a tense monologue before the vote, Councilmember Mohammed Hassan shouted his justification at the LGBTQ plus supporters. I am working for the people, what the majority of the people like. While Hamtramck is still viewed as a bastion of multiculturalism, the difficulties of local governance and living among neighbors with different cultural views quickly set in the following 2015 election. Some leaders and residents are now bitter political enemies engaged in serious and often vicious battles over the city's direction. And the Pride Flag controversy represents a crescendo in tension. There's a sense of betrayal, said the former Hamtramck Mayor Karen Majewski, who is a Polish American. We supported you when you were threatened, and now our rights are threatened. You're the ones doing the threatening. Hello, Karen Majewski. That's the Islam community. Did you not look into their religious beliefs before you elected them exclusively based on their religious policy? Hello, I am a group of people who has strictly conservative beliefs. I practice the Quran, which has specifically stated certain policies against gay people and certain people with that sexual proclivity. I am now going to elect and vote for a majority council of these people. What would you think happened if you voted mostly conservative Catholics into a position of power? Hello, you're giving it into their hands. Cries of threats and a need for unity only really work out when you want to galvanize a people to your favor. When you want to have the centrists and the bleeding hearts of a people go, hey, this group is being attacked. Let's support them. Let's vote for them. You played hook, line, and sinker to a fucking political campaign that basically said, hey, I'm being attacked. I need help. You played into their hands, and now you get the triumph of their rewards. Don't cry betrayal when you knew exactly what they could have voted for, and you still went with it. You can't trust your political opponents to be fair and capitulate, especially when you hand them majority power. to the Islam community, to the Muslim community of Michigan. Well fucking played. For about a century, Polish and Ukrainian Catholics dominated politics in Hamtramck City, a city of 28,000 surrounded by Detroit. By 2013, largely Muslim, Bangladeshi, and Yemeni immigrants supplanted the white Eastern Europeans. Though the city remains home to significant populations of these groups, as well as African Americans. Hold on. Though the city remains home to significant populations of this group, African Americans, white and Bosnian and Albanian Americans, according to a 2020 census, some 30 to 38% of Hamtramck residents of Yemeni descent and 24% are Asian descent, largely Bangladeshi. After several years of diversity on council, some see irony in an all-male Muslim-elected government that does not reflect the city's makeup. The resolution, which also prohibits the display of flags with ethnic, racist, and political views, comes at a time when LGBTQ plus rights are under assault worldwide, and some U.S. cities have passed similar bans, and the vast majority driven by often white, politically conservative Americans. While the situation in Hamtramck largely involved on its own local dynamic, some outside right-wing agitators connected to national Republican groups have been pushing for the ban on Hamtramck social media pages and voiced support for it at Tuesday's meeting. They are from nearby Dearborn, where they were part of an effort last year to ban LGBTQ plus books with LGBTQ plus themes. Oh shit, hold on. There we go. Mayor America Lib. Fuck, hold on. Their talking points mirror those made elsewhere. Some Hamtramck Muslims say they simply want to protect children and gay people should keep it in their home. But that sentiment is an erasure of the queer community and an attempt to shove queer people back in the closet. Gracie Cadu, a queer Hamtramck resident who is an anti-transphobic action group, who's a part of that. Mayor Amir Galeb, 43, who was elected in 2021 with 67% of the vote to become the nation's first Yemeni American mayor, told The Guardian on Thursday he tries to govern fairly for everyone, but said LGBTQ plus supporters have stoked tension by forcing their agenda on others. There is an overreaction to the situation. Some people are not willing to accept the fact that they lost, he said. Referring to Majewski, the recent election and resulted in full control of the council by Muslim politicians. Though the city's Muslims are not a monolith, and some privately told The Guardian that they were frustrated with the council, the only leader to publicly question it was the former city council member Amanda Jackowski, a Polish American who converted to Islam. A convert had a problem with the Islam Council. In a statement, she raised concern about the move's legality. There are far too many questions to pass this today any semblance of responsibility. On one level, the discord has flared between Muslim and non-Muslim populations in recent years, has its root in cultural clash that is unique to a partly liberal small U.S. city now under conservative Muslim leadership. Like I was saying, what do you think would have fucking happened when you gave political majority to a fucking conservative group. Ghalib disagreed and labeled the prayer podcast a First Amendment issue while not voting. Well, oh, hold on. Prayer? Matrusky said a majority is now disrespecting the minority. He noted that a white Christian majority city council in 2005 created an ordinance to allow Muslims to call to prayer to be broadcasted from the city's mosque 5 times daily. It did so over objections of white city residents, and Majewski said she did not see same reciprocity with roles reversed. Well, Ghalib disagreed and labeled the while noting no one was asking for City Hall to broadcast the calls. Moreover, the white majority council was not always hospitable to Muslim residents who have previously faced overt racism, and with a majority Muslim council in place, more Muslims had been appointed to the board and commissions and hired in city council or in City Hall. So had some LGBTQ plus residents, Ghalib added. Despite the political clashes, he thinks there is some hope of Hamtramck to live up to its multicultural ideals. We can get along, and people are not violent here, he said. I love the taste of Schadenfreude. So, I have to add to the argument of always take your kids out of schools, public schools. A Michigan school cuts a 7-year-old biracial girl's hair, but she is won in the end. A school, the government, decided that this girl's hair was unacceptable and cut it themselves. In March of 2021, Journey Hoffmeyer, a biracial 7-year-old girl, had her hair cut by staff at her elementary school. She knew this didn't seem right and questioned why they were doing this to her. It made me feel different from the other kids, and I felt weird, Journey told Yahoo News. The haircut issue stemmed from another school-related incident just days prior. Journey said that while on the bus, her fellow classmates, another student cut her hair with scissors. Journey's dad, Jimmy Hoffmeyer, complained that the principal took Journey to a hair salon where a stylist gave her an asymmetrical haircut, but 2 days later, Journey came home with both sides cut. Journey's dad removed her from school in September 2021, filed a $1 million federal lawsuit against the Mount Pleasant Public Schools, naming librarian Kelly Mogg and teaching assistant Kristen Jacobs. Fuck this bitch. She's using my last name. She's using my last name as my first name as her last name. For white as defendants, Journey's liberal library teacher, Miss Mogg, had cut off her remaining hair with assistance and/or acquiescence of Miss Jacobs. The suit alleged 10 counts, including racial discrimination, violation of Michigan Civil Rights Act, ethnic intimidation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violating the 14th Amendment. The case was settled a few months later. While third-party investigation acknowledged that cutting Journey's hair on school grounds, either with or without parental permission, is a clear violation of school policy, it concluded Mogg did not act with racial bias and was not fired. Yahoo reached out for a comment. They did not. Michigan Gretchen Whitmer signed the Crown Act, creating a respectful and open world for natural hair into law, making Michigan The 20th state to ban discrimination based on natural hair texture in the workplace and at school. Wow, she's a step behind fucking Texas. How about that for progressivism? Yeah, for too long, blah blah. She's got a statement. Yeah, it makes discriminating based off texture and whatnot illegal, criminal, and probably civilly liable. Fancy enough, I've already read a Crown Act in Texas, so I kind of know what it fucking looks like in Michigan. Maybe. I don't know. The fucking tyrant might have had them put into place something that gives them fucking control. If I seem to be swearing a lot, it's because I hate Gretchen Whitmer and what she's done with Michigan. And I hate the fact that she's also used her power to, you know, bully citizens and, you know, the full plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer was bullshit. The people that were charged for that is also bullshit. I'm a teacher. I can't for the life of me understand how a school or teacher would even think that they should be able to cut a student's hair without even with permission. Well, it's because, John H., the school's government and the government has power, and when the government decides it has power over your kids, it does whatever the fuck it wants. There we go. Simply put. Fort Worth releases annual report. 2020 report listed. No violations with regard. This is just water report. I don't know why I brought this up. This is get the road. I'm gonna wrap it up here, at least with the topics. I know I didn't get to everything, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 topics not read yet. No, 3 topics not read yet. I'll get to those tomorrow. And with whatever news article pops up, yeah. So I will start wrapping up the show, but just to say a few things. Because I had some gay fucking philosophizing and thinking of quotes before I got to work yesterday. So I figured I should share that with you guys. And something to say to fathers. To dads everywhere who are struggling, who have struggled, to the ones who cannot understand the world as we have it today, to the ones who cannot handle the stresses and responsibilities, to those who have some insecurity and frustration in mind. This pertains to mostly to men, but fathers will see this, will probably understand this the most. To the dads out there, including my own, and I'll say this to him probably, I'll just probably tell him, Happy Father's Day. Despite failings, despite all personal failings, the presence in your child's life has a value beyond words. The lack of a dad, despite any good upbringing, is only half an upbringing. These are not just gender roles or sex roles assigned by society. These are things that were dictated by the natural progression of the evolution of men and women in the world. This structure of a nuclear family is a natural conclusion. This necessity of gather hunters, and one side being the particular aggressive member and the one being a particular nurturing. One teaching and one nurturing. This can be seen all throughout religion and all throughout history, even in the Bible, where it naturally indicates the nature of man. Husbands, love your wives. Husbands, or wives, respect and obey your husbands. The nature of man and women were stated that early on. To the men out there who feel burdened by society, and to the fathers who are denigrated, dragged down, cast away just because they're men of a certain caliber, deadbeat dads out there are trying their best to involve themselves in their children's lives, and even to the deadbeats who are exclusively excluded. Try to reconnect with your kids. It's worth reconnecting. It's worth effort to try. And if the courts and a vindictive bitch is in the way, fight tooth and nail until you get it back. That is your family, that is your kin. And if you want that, you fight with all that you can until you either have lost every exhaustible measure, or if you won, congratulations to you. And if you have failed, please do not start a shotgun in your grieving. Try your best, regardless, throughout the pain. Because the world of man is rough. We are the pavers and the creators of the roads ahead, and we are treading on dirt. And if we cry, we make that dirt into mud. And mud is harder to trek through than dirt. So please, the fathers and men out there, try not to cry. Persevere. Because we need more dirt than mud. And what we turn away from dirt shouldn't be mud. It should be concrete. It should be solid and not permeable to water. So that the future for ourselves and the ones that we love can be made easier to travel. We're the backbones of our society, and the respect that we should hold in ourselves should reflect it, even if society would like to denigrate and cast us away. You are not scumbags, dads. You are not the worst of society, even if media and society wants to say that. Do not listen. You are worth more to your kids and to the people you love than you think and what society would like you to think. Stay strong and happy Father's Day. I love you all. Felt a little wordy, but I wanted to get all that I felt out there. I feel that a little personally because while not an utter deadbeat, my dad, our dad, in my family, wasn't exactly the most present. Still took us to school, took us to wherever we had to go, at least when he had a car. After some point, he escaped, not through physicality. He did not flee. He did not run away. He escaped mentally. A history of drug use brought him away, took him out of things mentally. A personal failing of his, probably not something he can outlive. However, I hold a level of deference and respect towards him for not completely abandoning us and staying with us, helping in some small measure here and there. If it's behind the scenes and not as easily displayed, fine. I hold more deference than I think the rest of my family does. Even if I from time to time find him absolutely irritable and aggravating. That is just life. And to all the father figures who have rose up through my life, I respect you guys and love you guys all the same. Happy Father's Day, fathers, gents. With that, I think I'm going to wrap up my show. I don't have a whole lot of time left. I've got 3 minutes, so I'll try to make this pretty quick. Thank you for showing up. Hey, Joey, thank you for the sound advice. Hopefully my audio is a lot better. I just need to, I think I'm going to need to adjust the sound gate a little bit more. Then I'm set. TL fan, thank you for showing up and making comments about the Panther Island projects. That was fun. To everyone who watched, to everyone who is currently watching and will watch on the replay, please like and subscribe on YouTube and on Rumble. Links are in the description below. It'll help the growth, it'll help the channel, it'll help me be able to do this more long term. Hopefully I can do it long term. And it's the reason why I've invested in something like this RE20, shock mount frame, and the Rodecaster thing that I've been using as of right now. That is only if you liked what you saw, and hopefully I'll be able to bring more content that you guys like. It's a little happy, a little good to just cover local topics and, cover some out-of-state topics like, Michigan liberals eating their shit. That was funny. I had a lot of fun with that one. Like and subscribe. You can also find and support me on Twitter. That's where you can find me at Legal Layman with 2 N's at the very end. You can also find me on legallayman.locals.com. It's a Patreon-like support group or supporter finance support for creators that you like. Or you can find me on Backs.buy, which is basically a blockchain Patreon. I'll try to post there more often to, incentivize the use of that, show updates and whatnot. I find that to be particularly important. Yeah. My time is up. What's up? What's else? I've been at this for so long, I can't even remember what else I gotta say. Right. And use code Layman at Dragon's Treasure. It gives you 10% off your purchases, gives me 5% of the kickbacks, and I appreciate all the support through that. Remember, they've got coffee now, so if you're not a fan of tea, please go and try and enjoy the coffee. Well worth it. Be careful about the coffee. If you have a big kettle like this, do not fill to the max line. Consider your caffeine intake and fill accordingly. I went yesterday thinking, man, this coffee ain't shit. And then I had shivers and jitters throughout the whole fucking day. Do not underestimate coffee. What? God damn it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for anyone who comes to watch on the replay. Please go like and subscribe. Appreciate it very much. I love you guys. Happy Father's Day, and I'll see you guys next time. I probably finish up the last 3 topics. Maybe cover more news. Other than that, I might try to make tomorrow a deep dive into the members of the House and Senate. And, redeem myself for the lack of Senate committee coverage, because I realized they don't really have very many things to describe their jurisdiction. So, watching. See you guys next time. Happy Father's Day, and hang loose.